Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. I'm Reverend Dr. Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral.
I am Reverend Dr. Robert Griffin, the executive minister. Faith and religion can be complicated for the LGBTQ plus community. Surveys show that religious faith and church are the main causes of trauma in the LGBTQ plus community.
I am Reverend Kevin Tisdall, the Minister of Education. The Queer God Squad is going to explore our religious community. Let's explore the big news of the day and what it means to you. This is live, and then we are available on demand. We are available on all smart televisions and your favorite social media.
At Sunshine Cathedral, we're here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Louisiana mandates the display of the 10 Commandments in public school classrooms. Louisiana has become the first state to mandate the display of the 10 Commandments in every public school classroom, following a bill signed into law by Republican Governor Jeff Landry. That's Jeff, Landry. This move by the GOP-dominated legislature advances a conservative agenda under the new administration. The legislation requires that a poster-sized version of the 10 Commandments, printed in large, easily readable font, be displayed in all public classrooms from kindergarten through state-funded universities. The posters must be in place by the start of 2025, and will be accompanied by a 4-paragraph context statement explaining their historical significance in American public education. Proponents of the law argue that the 10 Commandments are not solely religious, but also carry historical importance, calling them as, quote, foundational documents of our state and national government, end quote. Despite these claims, opponents question the constitutionality of the law and have vowed to challenge it in court. Organizations such as the American Civil Liberties Union, Americans United for Separation of Church and State, and the Freedom from Religion Foundation issued a joint statement criticizing the law, arguing it undermines the principles of equal education and student safety for those with differing beliefs. The law stipulates that the state funds will not be used to implement the mandate. Instead, the posters will be funded through donations. As the legal battle looms, Louisiana's new law sets a controversial precedent that blends historical interpretation with religious expression in the educational system.
Take your time now.
I've got some questions. Because, you see, there are 3 versions of the 10 Commandments in the Bible. And I bet most people who want the 10 Commandments don't know that. So do you want the Exodus 20 version? Do you want the Deuteronomy 5 version? Or do you want the Exodus 34 version? Because in that version of the 10 Commandments, keeping the festival of weeks and keeping the festival of bread are both commandments. So is that the one we're using? Where you have to observe basically Passover and Pentecost? Are we using that one? Where those are 2 of the commandments? Oh, you didn't mean that one, I bet. I bet you didn't mean those 10 commandments. Although, that is the only list in the scripture itself that is called commandments. But that's whatever. So let's say we meant either Exodus 20 or Deuteronomy 5. Maybe you knew there were those 2. I'm still wondering if anybody knew Deuteronomy 5. I wonder if a lot of people even know that Exodus 20 is a source, but whatever. You do know that they're numbered differently. There's a slight difference in the numbering in Deuteronomy 5 and Exodus 20. Whatever. Never mind any of that. You do know that Roman Catholics use a different version than Protestants. So in the Roman Catholic version, there's don't covet this and don't covet that. So the coveting is actually 2. And the thing about graven images isn't in there. That's just considered part of the have no other gods bit. So are we doing the Catholic one or the Protestant one? Whatever, never mind, details, right? because it's just history, right? It's just education. It's just, these are just good principles to live by. Not religious at all, except the first one is that you have no other gods than this God. The God named than the Lord your God. That God's name is actually Yahweh. Best as we can guess, because there's no vowels, but we throw them in there so we can say it, because it's intentionally unpronounceable so that you won't be saying it, so that you won't use it in vain, which is one of the commandments. So you should have no other gods but Yahweh. Well, that is a religion's God, a particular religion's name for their God. And so your first commandment in a public schoolroom is you got to have these people's God. This should be the end of the discussion. And that you can't use that God's name in vain, and that you can't have images. Well, if you can't have graven images, this better not be within vision of the U.S. flag, or the American eagle, or the statues and busts of the American presidents, because you're not supposed to have graven images. So you have just twatted away 3 of them to start with. It isn't just ethical behavior. This is an intentional religious document. Now, if we want to tweak the language a little bit and say have no other gods other than Allah, I might consider it. Since Allah is the same God, so, it's in the monotheistic traditions, it's roughly the same as the Aramaic Allah, which is the Hebrew Elohim, which is one of the names for God in the Bible. So if you want to tweak it a little bit like that, but still now you're privileging 2 religions. This isn't about ethical behavior. You don't need that on the wall to tell people don't steal from each other. You don't need that on the wall to tell people tell the truth. Meanwhile, while you're telling people don't bear false witness, are you going to say anything about the tabloid news industry that promotes this kind of thing? You don't want the 10 Commandments. You want to appear religious in a Judeo-Christian context, which is really just a Christian nationalist context. You want to appeal to a base. You want to add fuel to the increasing theo-fascist fires that are sweeping across this country. This has nothing to do with good behavior. This has nothing to do with citizenship. This has nothing to do with civility. This is a religious document that people who are so religiously ignorant don't know that it is one of 3 in the scriptures of a religious tradition. This religious document, and surely even this biased right-wing Supreme Court is going to have a field day with it. I applaud the ASLU and want to know how I can help them in any way make this go away.
And there's one other thing.
Just one?
Well, one that I'm going to pick on because Darrell. Really, they're going to put something up on a wall that their current presumptive nominee for president
she's going there.
Has broken every single one of them as far as I can see. Whichever one of the 3 commandments, 3 versions of commandments are used, this person, when you put it up, the kids are going to look at it and go, well, the orange guy did that.
He doesn't pay people. That's
the orange guy did that. Adultery.
He's cheated on every wife.
He's cheated on every single wife. He's cheated on his taxes.
And this is supposed to be from kindergarten on up.
Yeah, through college.
How are you going to talk about adultery to kindergartners?
Well,
I can't even put on makeup and read a book to your kids, but you're going to talk about adultery to kindergartners?
Little Jimmy can't covet his second cousin anymore, I guess. But no, seriously, I don't understand why Louisiana thought that this would be a good idea and that it would just make it through every single. It's a test case. Make it through every single port. You're going to see 11 of these. And yeah, but if they do, then can my Muslim friends put up all of their?
There's a Hindu cleric already pushing for it.
And can the Wiccans put up their manifestos? Can every single religion? Because there is not just the United States does not have a national religion. And to try to make one just goes against, and I've heard arguments, well, no, the founders of the Constitution of America wanted that. No, the founders of America specifically went against it. They went against it. They said, no, you cannot make this a religious country because, well, when they landed on Plymouth Rock. They were running away from religious oppression in their homeland. So it was very specific that we're not going to do the same thing. Louisiana, wake up.
You don't find the Bible in the Constitution?
No, you won't.
You don't find Jesus in the Constitution? You won't find the Ten Commandments in the Constitution?
And that's deliberate. That's not a mistake.
You will find an establishment clause.
Yeah. Separation of church and state. Hello.
Every time this kind of stuff comes up for me, I just think this is a distraction.
Yes.
You are just attempting to distract us from this November date that's coming up. And anything that anyone can do to help distract from that and or empower someone becoming the next one is what these folks are after. I'm pretty sure that they could care less about this. Other than they went through performance, they did the vote, the governor's son.
Performance.
This is performative.
Yeah.
There's no, I bet deep down in their heart, they all know this is wrong. Everybody else will know this is wrong. This is distraction, this is performance, and this is then going to hopefully, we're going to cause a wave throughout the United States. I don't think so. I don't think Florida would go for that. Wait a minute, I said Florida. But still.
You have more faith in Tallahassee.
But still, this is one of those conversations that might be going on for a while. It will make its way to the Supreme Court, and God help us if it does. I hope they rule accordingly, as they probably should, if they are in their right minds and follow some laws and keeping us mindful of religious, of separation of church and state, and to keep this whole thing going. Because all I'm going to say is the class is not out of session yet.
That's your classroom bell. Come learn something about the Bible. And see, it is performance. Look, they're not going to teach it. It just has to be there. It just has to be there, which makes it's symbolism.
Yeah.
An idol.
Yes. It's an idol.
It's symbolizing theocracy. It's symbolizing Christian fascism. That's what it's symbolizing. And notice the date. It has to be up by 2025. What is this scary manifesto that's going to be put into action in 2025 if 45 becomes 47? It's called the 2025 something.
Playbill.
Yeah. And so Project 2025 is what it's called. And this is supposed to be up
in time
to coincide with that. By January. When does the president take office? In January. This does not take Jessica Fletcher to work out.
And I need to know also, how is this acceptable and the rainbow flag is not? Any sign of rainbow, anything related to the rainbow is all removed out of the classroom.
Because that's indoctrination.
Because
to say that queer people exist is indoctrination. But to put your scriptures on the wall, that's fine.
That's not indoctrination at all.
No.
That's not, that's not it at all.
So we're going to take rainbow out of the Bible also, right?
Well, I most recently heard when there was a rainbow in the sky, gay people, they were now they're now informing God on how to put rainbows in the sky just because we're tempting with God now. I didn't know we had that kind of power.
And I didn't know that Christians didn't know that light refracted and reflected through water droplets make a prism effect. We used to make rainbows with garden hoses in the backyard as kids.
We sure did.
How is this a God thing? Yes, there's a myth about a maniac who committed mass murder by flooding the whole goddamn earth and then forced incest, but only letting one family survive, and then they have to repopulate the earth. And to show that this maniac will never be that unhinged again, he put a rainbow in the sky. That's a fascinating story. It's a powerful story. It is not a thing that ever happened. And guess what? You can make a rainbow with a garden hose. And so it's distraction. It's performative. It's just a way to be mean to queer people. You don't get to have a symbol. You don't get to be proud. You don't get to stand in your truth and have symbols affirming your community. You don't get that. But we can just plaster our sacred shit all over the wall. I'm over it.
How do you feel? How's that making you feel?
I was hoping to maybe disguise a little bit how I was feeling. I was hoping I wouldn't be super obvious.
No,
it's infuriating, especially as a person of faith. Queers diaspora just ran from religion, and who can blame them? I'm one of the bitches that stayed. And now I've got to fight religion as a religious person for the queer community. It's cognitive dissonance for me, because my role as a religious leader is to show how religion has fucked up so much and then try to call religion to do better. It's a strange role. we are a minority.
Yes, we are.
Because even though I think half or more of the clergy in this country are really secretly on our side, secretly does nothing, changes nothing. So yeah, we're getting the hate mail because we're saying the words.
Yeah.
And we need more people saying the words.
Yeah.
We need more people saying, yes, go to your shul, go to your church, go to your temple, go to your coven, go to your shrine, go whatever, and study this stuff and live it. And then go to your community college and take a comparative religions course and see what everybody's thinking. Yes, do all of that. But public spaces, the courtroom, the public school classroom, the courthouse lawn, this isn't the place to promote your mythologies and your religious biases. You get to have them. We're not telling you don't think what you think and believe what you believe. We're telling you don't put it on the walls of our third graders.
Right.
Because even if 2/3 of them are Christian, they are Christian in their Christian context. In this context, they need to be social studies. They don't need to be Christian. They need social studies learners, and they need to be science learners, and they need to be art learners. They need to be music learners. They need to be educated, and then as educated people, they can read those scriptures and discern them for themselves outside the classroom. And that may also be another thing that you're afraid of.
Wow.
That's today with the Queer God Squad. We calmly want to thank you for joining us. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's largest progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together. And we are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until the next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.